In this lecture, we'll be looking into just the types of structural isomerism and coordination compounds and geometrical isomerism alone. I have kept the optical isomerism as a separate lecture altogether. Okay. Isomerism is extremely important in coordination compounds, as important as it is in organic chemistry. So here, for example, right in the first slide itself, I have two compounds here, cisplatin and transplatin. Okay, we will see how to name them as cis and trans pretty soon. But cisplatin happens to be an anti-cancer drug. Okay, so that's how important isomerism is going to be. These are the types of isomerism that are included in your syllabus. There are a few other types that are not included. The basic type is structural and stereo, just like your organic chemistry. The structural isomerism here is further classified into four different types, and the stereoisomerism is classified into geometrical and optical, just like your organic chemistry. Let's see one by one in detail. The first one is ionization isomerism. This comes as a question in coordination chemistry or an interface question along with solution chapter. It occurs when a ligand or a counterion they can exchange places. In the previous basic introduction video, we saw that counterions are outside the parenthesis, so the square parenthesis. Inside is ligand, so these two can interchange. So, for example, if you see sulfate has gone in, nitrate has come out, but the total molecular formula is still the same. So, why this is important is they do ionize differently. Okay, when you put them in solution. For example, I have a compound here. So, if you were to name it, it will be, this is a cationic complex. A before Br, pentamine, bromido, cobalt, and then sulfate. So you can calculate your charges. So sulfate is 2 minus, so this is 2 plus. Bromine is minus 1, so cobalt is 3. So it is going to be pentamine, bromido or bromido, cobalt, 3, sulfate. Okay, when I dissociate in aqueous solution, I get sulfate ions, whereas in this one I get the bromide ion. Obviously the coordination entity is different as well. Now this solution, when I have aqueous solution, it will answer a test for sulfate. Barium chloride, when I add it to it, you get a white precipitate of barium sulfate, whereas this particular compound with AgNO3 gives a yellow precipitate of AgBr. Okay. This is going to be marked difference between them. Okay. Even though they have the same molecular formula and same molecular mass, they do answer differently. Alright. So this is basic ionization isomerism. Very easy to spot, very simple answers. Okay. Sometimes it could be complex based on I value, we will see them later, but for the most part it is extremely simple. The next is coordination isomerism. It occurs when there is interchange of ligands between cationic and antiionic entities. So for this isomerism you need the complex to have two coordination spheres. Okay. It can be the same metal atom or different metal atom. Okay. And they can interchange the ligands between them. Okay, that's how it is going to be. The total ratio of the metal to ligand is the same. The molecular formula is total molecular formula is the same, just a different structural formula. It's only possible for salts in which both cation and anion are complex ions, which I just mentioned. So now you can see here, this cationic complex has only amine, whereas the anionic complex has only cyanide. Okay. Now if you see here, cobalt used to be my cationic complex. Here cobalt has become an anionic complex. So accordingly the names would also be different. So how can this be asked as a question in NEET? Okay. There is an AIPMT 1998 question. Many of them got wrong. Now even when I actually asked this question in class, many of them use logic and do it faster and get the unfortunately wrong answer. So the number of possible isomers, if you want to write them, so basically I have two different spheres, so I can replace them. 4 ammonia. So the fastest way to do it is, for example, you can take it this way: copper, right, platinum, let's say ammonia is to chlorine. Okay, let's just say copper itself alone. So I can have 4:0, correct? So then I have 3:1, 2:2, 1 is to 3, 0 is to 4. So for example, this compound means copper would have 1 ammonia and 3 chlorine, and the platinum would have the opposite. Okay, this seems like it, so I should get 5 different isomers. Now if you see, I do have 5 different isomers. Okay, but unfortunately that answer is here, but that's not the correct answer. If you write the charges on the complex, platinum is 2, so this is going to be minus 2, this is plus 2. So this is going to be platinum is 2 plus 2 minus 3, so it's going to be minus 1, this is going to be plus 1. This is 0 and 0. Here for example, platinum is 2, this is minus 1, so this is plus 1. Here copper is minus 3 plus 2, so minus 1. So it's going to be here, this is 0, platinum is plus 2, so this. So now if you see, all of these are electrostatic interactions except this one. There is no interaction between these two. So this is separate complex, this is separate complex. So this does not exist. Okay, so the correct answer would be 4. So this was actually, this is a question where it is not tough, it's tricky. This particular one does not exist. So these are the 4 isomers that are possible. Okay, now when I say isomer, they don't ask you what type. It could be your structural and stereo. Okay, this is old question 1998, but now they are very clear in their questions. Next is solvate or hydrate isomers. It occurs when a solvated the solvent is going to be with inside the bracket or outside the bracket, but here it's going to be different. When it is outside the bracket, okay, it is called water of hydration. When the solvent is water, it's called water of hydration. Okay, it's usually they put a dot here. Okay, this is not a ligand anymore, and it also not a primary valency or a counter ion, because this is neutral. Okay, this is just used for crystallization. Understand that these are different. Alright, so now for example, if somebody were to ask you what is the color of copper sulfate, copper sulfate is actually, people would say copper sulfate color. It is copper sulfate color, but what is it? It is white in color. Copper sulfate becomes blue, just like this blue, when there is water of hydration outside, water right here. Okay, so this is important. Now when you see this hydrate isomerism is extremely important, because you can see the number of ions. I value is different. I value for this one is 1 plus 3 is 4, I is 3, I is 2. Stoichiometrically 3 chlorines it will answer for. This is 2 chlorine and 1 chlorine. Another thing is, this one does not lose water with con H2SO4. Con H2SO4 is a dehydrating agent, whereas this one loses with concentrated H2SO4, and this one also loses water. So this is a solvate hydromerism. Very, very simple, nothing complicated. Even this isomer is going to decide the color. Right? The last structural isomer we are going to see, which is in your syllabus, is linkage isomerism. As the name says, it's because of linkage of the ligand. A ligand can actually attach through multiple different positions. For example, if you take your hand, for example, you can attach to a metal atom through your index finger or a ring finger or a middle finger. That's what an ambidentate ligand is. Ambidentate means it's able to do from multiple places. Right. What do you call somebody who can actually work with the right hand, right in the right hand and right in the left hand? Ambidextrous. Here for example, these two are in different colors, as you can see here. This is orangish in color, this is reddish brown in color. Okay, they are different names as well, and you can see the linkages are different. Similarly, couple of them that are in your syllabus is thiocyanate, coming from thiocyanide, and isothiocyanate when it is bonded through N. Similarly, cyanato and isocyanato. Right? These are the 4 different types of structural isomers. Those are usually easy. Now next, going into stereoisomers, geometrical isomerism. If there is a question in NEET based on isomerism, most likely it is going to be geometrical isomer. Okay. Here one good thing is there are 3 different structures that are in your syllabus: tetrahedral, square planar and octahedral. The tetrahedral complex do not show cis strands. The reason is because imagine a tetrahedral, okay? Who is cis to who? You cannot really say. Remember R and S we used to do in organic chemistry? Everybody is close to everybody there. So you cannot really say who is cis and who is trans. So you can't do tetrahedral complexes, geometrical isomerism. When it comes to square planar, there is only very few sets that are in your syllabus. The first one is when you have Ma2B2. A is a ligand, two of them are present. B is a different ligand, two of them are present. Okay. So that tells you that for this isomerism, it needs to be a heteroleptic complex. Homoleptic means there won't be any isomerism. So A2 and B2, here you can see there are two types, cisplatin and transplatin. You can see here A and A are cis to each other and A and A are trans to each other. So they are cis to each other. The next example, they are trans to each other. So there are a pair of geometrical isomers or two geometrical isomers. Right. Similarly, A2BC is the same. A and A are cis to each other. A and A are trans to each other. So it will have two. And MABCD, if you have this, three. And the best way to do remember them is A is trans to B, A is trans to C, A is trans to D. A is trans to B, A is trans to C, A is trans to D. Don't remember it as cis because there will be two isomers. A is cis to B, A is cis to B. You don't want that. You want to remember it as trans. Do not memorize it. Use logic. It is a lot easier. The following square planar complexes cannot show cis-trans isomerism because obviously you cannot have anything that is cis or trans to each other. A is cis to A is trans to A. So you cannot do it. Same thing over here. And AA stands for a symmetrical bidentate ligand, ethylene diamine. Symmetrical. So if it's symmetrical, this nitrogen is cis to this nitrogen and also it's cis trans to this nitrogen. Both of these nitrogens are exactly same. So you cannot have. This comes in neat. Right? Now here I just clubbed few things in octahedral. I have a separate slide from next one. The following octahedral complexes cannot show cis-trans isomerism. Just like Ma4 that we saw, Ma6 cannot show because nobody is cis to anybody, nobody is trans to anybody. Similarly over here, Ma5B. This B is trans to this A, but it's cis to A as well. Okay. One thing you want to understand, in the octahedral field, all the positions are similar. It's just hard to see it here, but this position is same as this is same as this. So you cannot have geometrical isomerism in these two octahedral complexes. These are the ones that have come in NEET before. Octahedral complexes of Ma4B2, extremely important. This has come many times. And Ma4BC, they are going to be same. Very simple. The B2 is cis to each other. These two are exactly same as I told you. This position is exactly same as the position over here. So it's cis. Okay. And the B2s trans to each other. So there's only two different isomers possible, geometrical isomer. Okay. Example here, these two are cis, the green spheres here are trans to each other. So they will have two geometrical isomers. There's cis here, there's trans here. Okay, towards the end of the lecture, I actually have a table that has tabulated everything. It's very hard to memorize the table. It's easy to understand the logic behind it and draw it. It's not going to take you a lot of time if you practice now. What about AA2B2? AA is a symmetrical bidentate ligand. If you see, just focus on ammonia. It's much easier. The ammonia are cis to each other and trans to each other. So there will be two different geometrical isomers. Same thing for AA2BC. B and C are cis to each other, B and C are trans to each other. Okay, this and this for the most part is the same. MAA B2C2 and MAA B2CD. Right. So now I have one bidentate ligand and four monodentate ligands. So now if you see B2C2, the B2s can be trans to each other or cis to each other. Same thing is going to happen with B2CD. Okay, it's going to be the same. So it's going to be set of two different isomers. Okay. MA3B3. This is a special case where how do you arrange them? So I can arrange these logically in two different ways. I can put A's, for example, on one of the faces, but it's hard for you to see. Just focus on the tetrahedral. I can put them in a place where when I join them, I get a triangular face. Okay. So this is called facial or FAC isomer. I can put them in such a way that they are actually, when you put this triangle, okay, this is called meridional mer isomer. Okay, this forms a face of a octahedron. This doesn't form a face, it cuts through. Okay, it's hard to see, that's why I actually have different images for you to see. See, for example, if you were to draw for this one, if you were to draw, this is actually one face of the octahedron, whereas this is not a face, it is cutting through the center. Okay, it is going through the center. So this is meridian, just like our C. Okay, so this is mer, and this is fact. Here you don't use cis and trans, we use fact and mer according to CBSE. Okay. Now this is very simple. Just remember this formula. You should remember fact and mer. Pretty straightforward. It's hard for some of them to visualize. Some people can see 3D very well, some cannot. It's lucky if you're able to see very well. Now this is another representation just to see whether for some of them this might make a sense. This is cutting through, and the mer isomer always passes through the central atom. The facial isomer doesn't pass. So the best way I always explain to people is the facial isomer is like a roof. Okay, some houses used to have a triangular roof. You're passing through the center. Okay, in this one, whereas in the roof you are not passing through the center. If it's all of this is hard for you to remember, the best thing you can do it is ME3B3 is going to have a pair of geometrical isomers. Right? Now this is the set of geometrical isomers that everything is going to exhibit. Now most of them I have actually explained to you how to do. The best way for you is to be able to draw instead of memorizing it. Things that come in NEET more often, and also JEE mains, advanced you may expect other ones. These three would come, and also you want to remember this one. M, A, B, C, D, E, F will give you 15. Okay, and you may want to try to see whether you can remember this. Okay, the other ones not that important, they have never come in NEET, and also it is not printed in the book, so you can ignore. But these 3 plus 1, 4, and maybe this one you want to remember. Alright, so this is the end of basic structural isomerism and geometrical isomers for coordination compounds. These are extremely simple. Okay, it just takes time. It just takes time for you to visualize. That's all. Once you visualize, the geometrical isomerism becomes much easier. Again, I cannot stress it enough. Just for this one alone, try to practice at least once or twice to a point where you can visualize it. Alright, thank you guys.